One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV. It's BV. BV. It's BV.
Yeah.
It's BV. It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
It's BV and Jellified, Jimmy Beam and Bly, reaching highest where we reach, yo, as high as to the stars. Beats in the villain Jeep, vibrating other cars. Whose world is this? Yo, we say the world is ours. So we grow beards, no fear, photos so clear. Take another shot, so to speak, yeah, more beer. BV worldwide, put a fist to the sky. Cheers, cheers, New Year's, dope rhyme, good vibes. My crew speaks power, Chi-Town bleeds power. Knowledge, wisdom, and truth in the final hour. Respect, loyalty, family, charity speaks power. Bearded Villains, brotherhood speaks honor. Forwards and onwards, stay villain to the end. I will never shave again because my beard is not a trend. I represent excellence, leadership, and never follow. I'm a BBC member, yo, Lieutenant of Chicago.
One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay feeling. It's BV. It's BV. BV. It's BV.
Hello and welcome to The Heart of a Villain, the podcast devoted to the bearded villains' worldwide brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and happy Friday night to everybody. Man, what a week it's been for the bearded villains. We've had a great week all over the world, and we're here to talk about some of the cool things that our brothers are doing. And yeah. Again, this is BP from the Bearded Villains of Indiana, the host of The Heart of a Villain, and we are going to have a lot of fun tonight. I've got two guests that are going to come in and give us some lowdown about a couple different things. First, let me say thank you to everybody who is a returning listener to the podcast, either in the live stream form over on YouTube or later on down the line on any one of many major podcast platforms. Thank you very much for your continued support of this podcast. If you like bearded men, anything having to do with bearded villains, support bearded villains, or, well, just guys doing good in the world, this is the podcast for you because we talk about a lot of that stuff here. So again, thanks for everybody for tuning in. This is episode 36. 36 episodes in, man. It feels great. So just to touch on a couple things real quick, just to let you know what you have to expect for this episode. First off, we're going to do a little bit of an update on this past weekend's festivities down in Knoxville. And I have a very special guest. That is Dave Ramsey, the captain of the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains. He's going to give us a little lowdown, a little update on everything that was the Knoxvillains event. And then also the major guest for this week, a big long interview with Jay, the captain of Bearded Villains Toronto. Gives us a lowdown on a couple things that they're doing up there. They kept the charity work going, and even during this COVID pandemic thing, so they're doing really well. So we're gonna hit on a nice little interview with those guys, from those guys with Jay. So can't wait to let you see that. Real quick, I just want to touch base and say hey to Jay and some of the people that are other people that are on the live stream checking in with us. Mr. Trey is in the house. Aaron's here. We got Gator, of course. Ken, and of course Dave. Dave's chiming in. I'm not sure if he's still here or not, but he's around. And Michael's here. So, and then of course there's Chris. So, guys, I appreciate you being here live. And yeah, such a good week. And Brian's here too. So good to see you. Well, guys, let's talk for a second about the pandemic starting to slow down, I guess, in a few spots. We do see some areas of the country that are getting larger numbers all of a sudden, which is kind of to be expected, given the fact that certain parts of the U.S. anyway are starting to open up and people are getting around each other. So first, let me say, you need to be smart. So as much as we want to see each other and be brothers and give each other hugs and all that other fun stuff, let's at least be smart about it. And if you're not feeling well, if you have some sort of a small flu or something like that, please don't go and accidentally infect a lot of other people, But as much as you want to be out there, it's better for you to wait a few extra weeks. But man, guys had a great time this past weekend at Knoxville, at the Knoxvillains event hosted by the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains. And man, if you've been paying attention to the world of BV events, you'll know that this was the first majorly attended Bearded Villain event within the last several months since the pandemic started. And what an event it turned out to be. First of all, I got to say, coming up in the interview where I play the interview with Dave Ramsey, the captain of the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains, I give him all sorts of props, and his chapter deserves all the props in the world for putting this thing on. And the fact that they had to adjust their schedule literally within a few weeks, they had a plan in action. They were going to stand by that plan, and come hell or high water, they wanted to have this event. And then when the venue turned around and said, "Oh, nope, sorry, we can't do that," they said, "Fine, we'll go somewhere else." And in a matter of days, they were able to reroute and reschedule the entirety of the entire event, really, and made it work. And there were well over 100 people that showed up to be a part of this event, and we'll get into that. What an event it was! So you're going to hear about that in just a few minutes. Real quick, gotta bring in. Tell you, Gator had a great time down in. Gator has a great time. There's a lot of people that were posting some really good pictures and videos from the weekend. Made me really jealous that I wasn't able to get down there and see it. But Threepers in the house. Much love from North Alabama. So yeah, I'm gonna kick it right in. And Gator, I agree. They killed it. Such a great event. And like I said, it made me very jealous that I was not there for it. But without further ado, I'm just going to play because I want you guys to hear the amazing, just the totals from this weekend, from the event, Knoxvillains. They did such a great job, and I'm just speechless. I'm speechless. The way that they were able to put it together, and the lives that they're going to change with what happened from this weekend. Not only the lives changed from those that were in attendance, because we can't forget that. Our lives are changed every time we get together like this. And we finally meet brothers that we were never able to meet. We meet brothers and sisters that we hadn't seen for a long time. And so not only are our lives changed, but the lives of the people that are affected by the monies raised and everything else that's involved in this weekend. So, yeah. So here we go. I'm just going to play this video for you because I want you to really see from Dave's mouth exactly what was done from this weekend. This past weekend down in Knoxville, Tennessee, they hosted the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains I'm talking about. They hosted an event called Knoxvillains. And here to give us a lowdown on, kind of a rundown on the weekend and the amazing results from the weekend is the captain of the Bearded Villains, the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains. To talk to Mr. Dave Ramsey. Mr. Ramsey, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for finding a few minutes here just to tell our listeners all about this weekend, because I know it was a really successful weekend. It probably blew your expectations out of the water. But first of all, I do want to say congratulations to you and your chapter on making a hellacious effort in the last minute, because I know that you had the plans to kind of stick out the COVID pandemic issue, and then unbeknownst to you and out of your control, you had to make some last minute adjustments to your plans, major last minute adjustments to your plans as far as venue and everything else. But you guys did a bang up job getting that set up. And from everything I've seen and all the pictures I've seen, it's been an amazing time. So congratulations to you for that.
Thank you.
So go ahead.
We had our chapter really pulled together and made stuff happen. We got to thank Tommy Lee for helping us secure the venue. But yeah, we had a lot of stuff against us at the end, and we're able to do some amazing stuff this weekend.
Yeah. Well, let's get into, first of all, what for those listeners that aren't familiar with Knoxvillains, what is the event and what do you guys do the event for?
Knoxvillains is our annual event for autism. our charity for that event is the East Tennessee Autism Society. We've done Knoxvillains. This is actually the third year we've done Knoxvillains. But we do it, and we do our anniversary event, and then we do our buddy walk every year. And that's our three main fundraisers we do every year. But Knoxvillains is our biggest. It's always been our biggest event.
Okay. So you're raising money for autism awareness. And
Yes.
in the past, just give us an idea. In the past, how much money, because we're kind of setting this up a little bit. In the past, how successful, how much money have you raised just from the Knoxvillains event alone?
This year we blew it away. Our
Right.
biggest donation to the East Tennessee Autism Society before this year was $1,979.
Wow. What a big
So-
difference. We'll get into that in just a second. I just want to tease it for a few more seconds because
Mhm.
it was such an amazing amount of money for this weekend. So, but yeah, that's crazy, man. So this weekend's event, you started out with a meet and greet, and then you had your event. How many chapters did you say that you had in attendance there this weekend?
To the best of our ability to recollect, our final total, official total was 22. We had 22 chapters represented. We had, I believe it was 6 chapters that had at least 5 members that showed up.
Wow.
Scrappy and the North Texas guys drove 14 hours out. It was crazy the amount of support we got.
Yeah. I think it was perfect timing though too, because everybody was just waiting. Everybody wanted to get back to the Bearded Villains, to get back to meeting up, and the timing of the event was so perfect. And the fact that you're centrally located in the States, everything just kind of came together. And the fact that you guys, come hell or high water, you were not going to be told no. You were going to find a way to make this happen. So such a great turnout, man. So. Well, let's just touch on it, man. You had the meet and greet, and then you had the beard comp, and this was held at that hotel that you guys were at. Now, during the beard
Crown Plaza.
Yeah, at the Crown Plaza. Now, during the beard comp, you guys did a few things to raise some money. Tell us a little bit about what you did to raise some money and some of the highlights there, and then the total number of dollars raised.
We had a couple of guys offer up rare patches for the auction. My wife put together a 300-piece puzzle that she painted in the autism awareness colors, and we had everybody sign it. And at the end of the night, we auctioned that off. That actually raised $500 at the end of the night. We actually opened a brand new roll of raffle tickets for our raffle items. So we sold over 2,000 tickets and actually had to change colors to continue the raffle. It blew my mind. But at the end of the night, we ended up with a total of $9,007. Then one of our guys, Ponytail, Dave, he actually sent me a message asking, he's like, we're so close to 10 grand. He's like, can I ask in the chat if anybody'd be willing to donate to get over the 10 grand mark? I told him the chapter would not, because, $9,000 is
Oh my gosh, yeah.
an amazing amount. I told him that if he wanted to challenge them, that he could. He put it in there, and within 10 minutes, we were over the 10 grand mark.
Holy cow.
It was amazing, man. Like you were saying, it just fell at the right time. Everybody was ready to be. We're a group that thrives on the family dynamic.
Yeah.
And to tell us for 3 months we can't be around each other, and then finally we can, we're going to show up in force.
Yeah.
It was an amazing weekend.
Yeah.
I can't thank everybody enough.
It was so well received, and so many guys drove. The Texas guys 14 hours, but I saw posts from guys 11, 12 hours. It was nothing for them to do, that stuff, and they were anxious to do it too. And it's just a testament to what you guys can put together down there, and the gracious hosts that you guys were. So $10,000 to autism this weekend.
10,142 to be exact.
Let's not forget that, man. That's amazing. I know that's going to put some pressure on you for next year, but man, that's the kind of pressure you like to have. Because
Oh yeah, they were talking in the chat. They were like, "Oh, we need to do 15 or 20,000." I was like, "Well, y'all need to show back up, and y'all need to bring some friends too." Because
bring some friends and some ruby slippers or something like that to donate so that we can auction those off. Because man, that's wow, awesome.
We've actually when we made our check presentation yesterday to the Autism Society, and they're talking about trying to lock the Crown back in as our venue for next year, and it just worked out so great because we were a block away from Market Square, where when the event was over, you could either hang out outside the hotel, or there was plenty of restaurants and stuff you could just walk right across the street to get to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What a weekend, man. I just wanted to get you in real quick just to talk about it. I know you're a man of few words, and you know,
this stuff stresses me out to the
I hear
no
you.
end.
I know it does. I know it does. But like I said, I greatly appreciate you taking a few minutes out tonight to talk to me about it, man. It's such a great, I mean, I just shake my head at the amount. It's amazing. It's amazing. And just from one weekend's worth of work, really one night. But I mean, the work was put in by you guys weeks and weeks in advance, but for it to culminate in one night of $10,000 plus is absolutely amazing. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to the Smoky Mountain guys and everybody else, every other villain, supporter, villainette, queen, everybody that was there in support. Thank you so much for being there and for supporting the Smoky Mountain chapter and the Knoxvillains event. Before I let you go, would you like to say anything to everybody else that might be listening?
I'd love to thank everybody. I mean, there's no way to tell you how grateful I am for what we did this weekend, but I thank you from the bottom of my heart. We did some amazing things this weekend as a group, and it shows what we really are and what we're really about. And I thank you, and the chapter thanks you, and the East Tennessee Autism Society thanks you.
Well said. Well said. Dave, I appreciate you, man. God bless. Have a great rest of your weekend, and congratulations again. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Wow. There you have it, guys. There you have it. Over $10,000 raised from efforts from this weekend to raise money for autism. And I mean, how amazing is that? When the villains show up, man, they show up in force. And, you know, yeah, absolutely do we need to give props and credit to the Smoky Mountain chapter and to Dave and all the guys within that chapter. But also, thank you so much to all of you guys that are listening right now, all of you that are watching on the YouTube, who were there and assisted in that, because as Dave would be the first to tell you, this event would not have happened, no matter how much preparation, no matter how much planning they did. This event would not have happened if it were not for all of you guys that were there in attendance, helping out, helping to raise that money. So just, I mean, an amazing, amazing weekend. Congratulations to all of you who were there, all of you who participated, all of you who actually weren't able to make it, but found out about this donation online on the line chat and were still able to contribute from a distance. And were part of that lump sum that went from 9,000 some odd dollars and put it over the hump for 10,000. So congratulations to you guys. Such an amazing amount. And thank you again to all of you guys who were there in attendance for such a great weekend, because I can't stop, saying it. So, as Jennifer says, the villain stepped up for sure. Absolutely. Brian, we agree. Couldn't have done it without everybody else being there. It was such a great weekend. I want to scroll back up here, talk for a second, and give. Holly said something that was really nice. Way to go, SMBV. Great representation of what BV is all about. Such a great representation. And you know what's funny about it is I think it was the perfect, this is coming from everything I've seen and heard. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but from everything I've seen and heard, this was the perfect event that we needed to have as Bearded Villains to kind of decompress, let that breath come back in our lungs and say, yes, we're back. And here we go. This is the start. This event right here is the start of 2020 for us. And we're going to let this be the start of 2020. From here on out, the Bearded Villains are back worldwide, and we're going to start doing some stuff that we normally do. And we're going to do it in force, as you say. So to everybody who was there, thanks again to everybody who participated, contributed in any way, shape, or form from this weekend. Thanks again. Absolutely. So, guys, man, we got a big crowd in the house here on YouTube, and that's great to see. I love it. You guys are spending your Friday night with me, with the podcast, with everybody else that's here live, if I can talk, that's here live with us. Everybody else, man, those of you listening after the fact, feel free to stop in on a Friday night, 7 p.m. Central here in the States. I don't know what that would be wherever you're at, so just do the math backwards and figure that out. But Friday nights, 7 p.m. Central, here on the YouTube, we are live. You can contribute. You can participate in this comments, all the comments that are coming through. We've got a bunch of regulars stopping in. So great to see. So many really good supporters of this podcast. I can't thank you guys enough for being just constant support system for this podcast and everything that I bring with this podcast. I could not do it without you. As I've said many times before, this podcast is absolutely 100% as much your podcast as it is mine, because I'm just telling the stories that all of you guys are a part of. And that's what this is all about. So this weekend, guys, the Bearded Villains of Toronto are going to be doing a really cool event. Well, it's not so much an event, but it's a culmination of an effort to raise money. And it's just one of the things that Toronto has been doing behind the scenes. They've got a upcoming patch release they've been teasing the heck out of and making us all really, really want this thing. And on top of that, they've been doing a couple of other things behind the scenes, trying to raise some money unfortunately, for their event that was canceled earlier in the year due to the COVID pandemic. But I had a really great conversation with Jay, their captain from Bearded Villains of Toronto. And I got to say, if you were not able to, and I kind of mentioned this in the interview with him, but they just recently released some merch with a really sweet logo, patches, pins. You know, they came out with everything, which if you've ever been involved in a merch release regarding any kind of patches, pins, shirts, whatever, where you do all of that at once, you probably have an idea of how difficult that is to get that out, time it out just right. Because when a new patch comes out in the BV land, everybody wants it, and it goes quickly. And when you do that with the combination of pins as well and shirts, wow, more power to those guys. So I just have to say congratulations on their recent merch release. We're going to get into some other stuff that Toronto's doing now. I'm going to play you the interview I just had recently with Jay, and just listen to what Toronto's doing, man. Making us proud and doing great things up just across the border here in the States. So here's Jay, and telling you a little bit about Toronto. My guest this week from the Bearded Villains of Toronto. He's the captain on IG. You can find him at bearded_J83. Bearded_J83. Again, this is the captain of the Bearded Villains of Toronto, and these guys are doing some really cool things right now. So please help me welcome Jay. Jay, how you doing, buddy?
Not bad. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, man, I am doing great. Let me make sure my camera is working for you here. Get you on. There we go. Jay is in the house. Jay, man, you guys, I know I want to get into this in just a minute, but Toronto, man, you guys have been busy. Just another one of our example chapters who've been busy in this COVID situation, still finding a way to make a difference. And so kudos to you on that. But we'll get into that in just a second. Real quick, I want you to, if you can, give us a little bit of lowdown. For those of you who are not familiar with him, with Jay, give us a little lowdown on how you found the Bearded Villains and what's brought you to being the captain now of Toronto.
Well, actually, how I found Bearded Villains was kind of a funny story. I was in a store called Bulk Barn, which is a bulk food store here. And a woman approached me out of the blue, an employee actually,
Okay.
older woman, and said, "Are you a bearded villain?" And I was like, "What's a bearded villain?" And she kind of told me a little bit about it. She said, "Well, you should check it out." And I actually did. I messaged VK directly,
Oh, wow.
and he put me in contact with the captain of OSW, who put me in contact with the captain of Toronto at the time.
Wow. How cool.
And that's
is
how that whole journey started. I was villain patched in January of 2017. And I kind of worked my way up from ambassador, sergeant, co-captain, all the way up to captain from there.
So you were first, you began your journey in what year?
I began the journey as a hopeful in September 2016.
Okay. So you have been in for some time now. And then now
It's a little bit.
you've been a captain of Toronto for how long now?
Approximately a year.
Okay.
And I was a co-captain before that for approximately 4 or 5 months.
Okay. Great. Awesome. You know, this is a tough time, man. This is a really tough time to be a captain or any kind of an officer, I think, kind of leading the charge and trying to be the examples for the guys that are in your chapter, especially now with with the pandemic. Even though things are starting to open up, it's been a rough few months. And normally, I know you guys would have been prepping up for a big event, and we'll get to that in just a minute, and the negative that happened with that, the downside to it. But it's you guys. How many guys you got in your chapter now?
Full chapter members were about 20 right now.
Okay, so good.
But we do have a lot of supporters and non-chapter members as of yet.
Good. Okay, you got a good solid core there. Good solid core. So take me through a little bit. What have been some of your struggles as a chapter? I know it's a little bit different that you guys are up in Canada from the States. And I know there's a lot of stuff opening up here in the States. I know the border between us and you is still closed for everyday travel, but at least it was as of yesterday. I haven't checked today, but I believe it still is. But what's it been like for you guys up there in Toronto with this pandemic and trying to do stuff?
Well, normally we have an official meet every couple months, plus our individual meets in between. But because of COVID, we've had to cancel, for a good example, our 5-year anniversary meet. Yeah. We couldn't have it. It was the beginning of May, and everything was still locked down.
That sucks.
Yeah, but we try to keep up with each other through Zoom calls and just keep it up in the chats.
Have you found that? Have you found a way that? I mean, are the restrictions such that you can't even be around each other? Period. Up there, you can't even with small groups. You can't get together yet.
We're just recently allowed groups up to 10, but for the longest time, It was only 5. So we would occasionally meet 1 or 2 extra. We come meet up and maybe have a quick beer in a driveway, but we'd stand 6 feet apart, follow the social distancing rules.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been funny to see, I say funny, sad, but funny guys, some of our guys all over the world have found a way to reach out and find other brothers and just hang out, be it drive by, you bring your car to the side of somebody's road and you sit there and talk from outside your car and they're in their driveway sitting in the chair. Or I've seen pictures of that from guys up in Canada. I've seen it over in the UK. So that's been really fun to see. But unfortunately for you guys, this hit at just the worst possible time. I know you were one of a handful of chapters out there that had plans that were majorly interrupted by the COVID pandemic. But you have found a way. So your big event, Beards for Bucko, this was going to be Beards for Bucko 2, right?
Yes, it was. This would have been our second year doing it.
Okay. Give me a little bit of a lowdown on what Beards for Bucko is and what was the plan for that?
Well, I'll kind of give you a lowdown a little bit on the charity as well, I guess, with it.
Yes, please.
Beards for Bucko is a joint venture between BBTO and BBOSW. And we host it for Camp Bucko. Camp Bucko is a a summer camp for kids who are ages 7 to 17 who are burn survivors.
Oh, wow.
Their funding is solely on public funding. There is no government funding whatsoever on this. And it takes about $1,000 to send one kid to camp for 2 weeks.
Holy cow.
So what we do with Beards for Bucko is it's usually a weekend event. The Friday we have our meet and greet. The Saturdays when we have our charity beard comp, we have silent auctions, 50-50 draws, all the fun stuff, and all of it goes towards the camp. The venue we have is actually very, very accommodating to us and helpful, and where they would take a portion of the drink sales, they'd put it towards the charity, and it's just a great, great event. And we were sad to have to cancel it for this year.
Yeah, man. The kids, man, it's, anytime kids are involved, it gets you. And I'm sure, how did you guys find this organization that you wanted to help out with? I mean, what drove you guys to them?
It's actually a funny story.
Okay.
I live in a very small town, like our main strip. I'm trying to think of how it would be in miles for you guys.
Oh, go for kilometers. We'll do the math later.
Well, I'll say roughly 2 kilometers, which is approximately a mile.
Okay.
And we have a lot of small businesses I like to support. One of them is a pizza parlor, and they happen to have some Camp Bucko flyers there. So I picked one up, started reading. I questioned him. I goes, "Oh yeah, I support this charity. We do certain days. We'll do a portion of our sales go towards the charity, et cetera, et cetera." So I took it to our chapter and showed them what it was all about, and everyone was stoked to be able to help.
Very cool. That's wow, so awesome. Now I know by asking this, I'm putting you a little bit on the spot just because I know you don't represent the organization or the camp, but do you know how many kids end up there? Is it just once a year that the camp's available, or is it throughout, they have 2-week portions that go during the entire summer?
They have a couple different sessions.
Okay.
It only runs for 1 month during the summer. So I think the one session's 2 weeks. I think they have a couple 1-week sessions as well.
Okay. Do you have any for the 2-week sessions? I assume that's what your Beards for Bucko is basically helping out for the 2-week session. Do you have any idea how many kids go during that time period?
In that session, I'm trying to recall. I believe it's around 150 to 200.
Wow. And they're all burn survivors in some way.
Yeah, it's definitely a great organization. They love what we do for them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. I can't believe that an organization like that exists that isn't receiving government funding in some way, shape, or form. That's but how amazing is it that you guys are there for that? That's outstanding. That's awesome. So then do you guys donate from Beards for Bucko? When you do that event, do you just donate a lump sum of money, or do you donate like a situation where we're sponsoring 15 kids, or we're sponsoring 10 or 5, whatever the kid, or you just send a lump sum?
Normally we just send a lump sum and they put it where it needs to go.
Okay. That's good. Lets them make the choice and where they need it. That's awesome. So
exactly.
Because we don't have Beards for Bucko 2 this year, you're working on something, right? You said to try and get some money donated to them anyway.
Yes. I've been in contact with the organization. They are officially canceled for the summer.
Oh.
They are going to offer some online stuff for the kids, but as for face-to-face stuff, there won't be anything this year. They're aiming for next year, in which case we're hoping to send even more kids between this year and the next Beards for Bucko event.
Wow, that's awesome. So they're just going to hold off and let you rake in the money over the course of this next year, and then waiting for Beards for Bucko. Are you going to call it Beards for Bucko 2? Are you going to call it Beards for Bucko 2.5 or 3, or what are you going to do next year?
I think we're going to have to go for Beards for Bucko 2.5 at that point.
Have to come up with some creative title for it for sure. Because you don't necessarily want to not call it 2, but you don't want to necessarily call it 3. But you guys get time. You got some time to come up with that for sure. So
now this whole thing is we have a whole nother year to make the event even better than that.
Yeah, I have a feeling you guys are going to kill it. I'm really excited. I've actually, I had just started hearing rumblings about it, trying to give a little bit of publicity for it here in the podcast. When I remember Beers for Bucko last year, but I found out about it very late, and I wasn't able to go. But right when I heard for Beers for Bucko 2 was coming on, I started advertising it for you guys, and then I was, like I said, I didn't actually know exactly what Beards for Bucko, what the actual, the charity aspect of it was. So that's such a cool thing to hear. But yeah, disheartening a little bit to hear, that there's that many affected kids going to a camp like that. But at the same time, it's awesome that you guys are there for it. So kudos to you guys for stepping up and doing that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So let's get in a little bit of stuff. You guys are doing some active charity things right now, and I know. Let me just get this out of the way. Didn't you guys just do some merch stuff recently?
We did. We just our new logo and stuff. We released merch with the logo.
Yeah, and that kind of disappeared quickly, didn't it?
I think the patches sold out in a matter of less than 10 minutes.
Yeah. Old BP here missed out big time on that one. I didn't get the memo until it was like the 12th minute or something like that. So I'm gonna have to wait for the secondary market on that one for sure. But you guys, it wasn't just. Did you have a pin as well?
We did have a pin.
Yeah, that went.
The pin took a little longer, but not much longer than the patch to sell out.
Yeah. I think I found out about both right after the pin went, and I was like, "Come on, really?" So, yeah, secondary market for old BP. I'm gonna have to.
I can't take the credit for that one. Our merch guy, Chris, which is our secretary, did a great job getting this merch all lined up for us.
Yeah, it's not easy to do a merch launch like that, and where you're doing shirts, pins, patch. All simultaneously like that, and to have it set up so that you don't oversell or you don't, there's a whole behind the scenes process you got to make sure you get right. So definitely he did a great job with that. Just wish I would have had an in, but that's terrible. I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there that missed out that would say the same thing. So
oh yeah.
So aside,
I still get DMs every day.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. By chance, did you hide one in your drawer? Do you still have one of the? Yeah, I know. You're going to be getting those till the next timer comes around for sure. So, and then you're going to have people saying, "Just pull some back for me. Pull some back for me."
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, that's the price you pay when you have a cool logo and you throw out some new merch, man. It just happens. So,
that's it.
The headaches, whatever. What are you going to do? So. You aside from your regular merch that you guys have, you're doing something else with something else that with a new patch that just came out. But first I want to get to you're in the process of doing a charity thing that's coming to a head for this weekend. So it was one of the perfect timings for me to get you in here right now. Tell us a little bit about what your charity drive you're doing right now is.
This weekend we're doing something for White Birch, which is a subsidiary of the Carson Foundation. What it basically is it helps adults with special needs.
Oh, cool.
So what they're doing is a bottle drive. So we're going around to the neighborhood, all of our brothers, their friends, their family, we're collecting their empty beer bottles, wine bottles, liquor bottles, and it all gets donated. What they do is they offer day programs for the adults, classrooms where they could learn stuff, and also a lot of outdoor activities. It's not far from where I live, actually. It's maybe a 15-minute drive, and they just got all sorts of beautiful land and trails and everything out towards that way.
Oh, wow. So, and so you said the Carson, what was the name of the overseeing?
The actual charity is the White Birch Foundation.
Okay.
Which is a subsidiary of the Carson Foundation.
Okay. All right. So the White Birch Foundation, it works with, you said with adults though. It's not. It's specifically with
Yeah.
adults. That's good. That's good. There's not many of those out there, and it's sad, but there's so many programs out there that I've seen because, again, I feel like I say it sometimes too much, but being the father of special needs kids, you always wonder what's going to happen when they reach that point. There's programs designed to help out the young kids, but then they reach that certain age, and it almost seems like, I know in various parts of the world, that they just kind of get pushed to the wayside and they just kind of get forgotten about.
It is.
So that's White Birch Foundation. That's great. That's great that you have that there. And so you're accumulating all these bottles. Is it bottles and cans, or is it just bottles? Or
bottles and cans. Basically, as long as it's alcohol, we can get the refund here, but they don't do it with pop cans, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, we don't have that here. At least in our province. I can't speak for the rest of Canada.
So a 12-ounce empty can of beer, you can recycle that, or you can get money for it, but a 12-ounce can of pop, you can't.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are we doing? Encouraging people to drink alcohol? Is that? I mean,
well, during this whole COVID thing, all the beer and liquor stores were still open. So,
oh yeah, that was obviously designated an essential item very early on. I think that the world spoke and said, no, alcohol is essential, and the world's going to go really crazy really quickly if we don't keep those open. So, but how weird is that they do? I mean, I've never heard of that before. You can still recycle those, right? They're just not paying you for them.
Oh, yeah.
But man,
yeah, you can still throw them in your recycling bin, but as for collecting the 5-cent deposit or whichever it is, you don't get that.
Weird. I wonder if it's because you're already paying money on the alcohol anyway. It's a little higher. It's probably higher taxed or something like that. So who knows? I'm not going to promise or pretend to try and guess, but I just think that's weird. But because I know we don't even pay for the recycling. I mean, there's no deposit type of thing here in Indiana anyway. I know in Michigan there is, but Michigan, I think it's regular bottles, glass bottles as well for pop. So I think I could be I may be speaking out of turn. Anybody from Michigan that's going to be listening to this, I'm sure you will be quick to tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I remember growing up and going to the grocery store with my grandparents, and they'd have the old 1-liter Coke bottles that were glass, and they could return those for a refund.
Yeah, you take the whole 6-pack with you, yeah.
But it seems, I guess, over the years, they just kind of said, no, we're not going to do that anymore.
Wow. So is there a deposit per can or per bottle, even if you have a 24-pack, it's per item?
I'm not sure for pop and whatnot.
No, for beer. Beer.
Oh, for beer, yeah. It's kind of just worked into the price.
Okay. So you get you get the deposit back for if you take 24 cans from a case of beer, you get a deposit back on each one of those cans.
Yeah, if you bring them back to the beer store or the liquor store, they'll give you the refund back for them.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. And is there a difference in price between the bottle and the can?
Yes. I can't remember the exact amount. Okay. I think a wine bottle's worth like 25 cents. A can's like 5-10 cents, something like that.
Okay. So, well, I asked that because there was a picture, and I can't remember honestly if it was on your profile page or on the Toronto profile page, but on IG, but somebody took a picture of a trunk full of somebody's donated items because they thanked whoever it was. And I wish I would have, I could probably pull it up, but I'll worry about that later. But one of you guys thanked so-and-so for their donation. And the first thought in my mind was that donated from one person? Because holy cow, he might have a problem.
Oh, I know the picture you're talking about. Our ambassador, Joey, has been spearheading this initiative. And one of our supporters is actually a building manager.
Okay.
So he collected those cans from the building that he works in.
Okay.
So it wasn't just him.
Well, he said thank you to so-and-so. He recognized somebody for their donation. And I was like, I mean, I go through a lot too before I finally get it out of the garage, but holy cow, I was like, wow, that's a party weekend right there. I got to come up and party with him because wow. So, okay. So this weekend you're taking the donations in and all that stuff is going to go towards White Birch Foundation. That's very cool. Very, very
For
cool.
sure.
All right, so let's get into the final thing, the secret. Well, yeah, it was kind of secret for a little bit. You guys teased it with little kind of sample pictures a little bit of this new patch that came out this week. That was kind of funny. We were like, what's this? We know it's a patch, but we can't quite tell. So tell us a little bit about this new patch that came out.
Well, June is Pride Month in Canada. I think it is across North America for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Toronto has the biggest Pride parade in Ontario, but yet again, COVID, it got canceled this year.
Unfortunately, why is it unfortunate? Is it just such a huge thing that it gets in the way?
COVID's definitely a huge thing that gets.
Well,
in
I
the way.
mean, but you say, unfortunately, the parade is the largest parade that's in Toronto. So
it's worded that unfortunately, it got canceled.
Oh, okay.
It's basically it's a huge week-long party.
Oh, wow.
Ending with the big parades.
Okay.
So what we've done is soon to be released, there'll be a Pride patch with our logo, and all proceeds are going to go to the 519 project.
Okay. What's the 519 project?
The 519 project offers the LTG BQ. Sorry if I missed anything there.
Yeah. It doesn't really roll off. It doesn't really roll off the tongue, but yeah, I understand.
It offers their community counseling if they need it, even coming out groups, queer parenting support, all sorts of stuff, even senior support.
Awesome.
For the seniors in that community.
Yeah.
They'll help housing, employment.
That's great. That's great. So the patch, I've seen pictures already, but it's not out yet?
Not out yet.
Okay. All right. Then I must have missed.
Very, very soon.
I'm sorry?
Very, very soon.
Oh, very, very soon. So we've teased it to the point of we all want one now, but we can't get our hands on it yet. So this is going to be another one of those. Are there limited numbers, or did you make enough for a lot of people?
These are going to be limited to 100.
Holy cow. That's even more limited than your other patch.
It is. It is.
Oh, geez. Okay. So are you going to release this at like a normal hour? Are you going to do like the Bearded Villain page does sometimes and release something at 4 a.m. or something?
We usually release around noon our time.
Okay.
Which is, I guess, Eastern Standard.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So around noon, so just every day, check IG for noon, what is considered noon Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. Do your math backwards if you're on the West Coast. But noon.
We'll definitely drop a date and time on the IG page when it's all set up and ready.
Okay, so it's not going to be like a secret drop.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good anyway. But it will go quickly with only 100 there, so probably less than 10 minutes for sure. Are you going?
Anything like the last drop?
Okay. Now, are you going? I want to make sure I ask all the questions in case anybody else has questions about it, because with the podcast will be broadcast before this drop happens, so they'll know. Will people be able to buy multiples, or are you going to hold them to one?
We are going to be holding it to 2 per person.
Okay. All right. So no cheaters out there. And I personally am going to encourage our brothers in Toronto to cancel your order if you try to purchase more than 2. And you may end up with 0. So don't be a party pooper. Don't be a party pooper. Take your 2 and go out the door. All right. Pride patches coming soon. They're very cool, very colorful, but they're like sleek colorful. They're not like overwhelming. So you did a great job with that. Is that another Chris design?
That is. He's a very gifted graphic designer. We're very happy to have him in our chapter to help out with stuff like this.
Very cool. Awesome, man. So real quick, the last thing I want to do, you've got a kind of a neat little I don't know, is it a side gig or is it a full-time deal that you've got your Beards and Stogies thing going?
Yes, that's my semi-new business.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's Beards and Stogies. We're Canada's only cigar, tattoo, and beard care shop.
Wow. See, now I'm glad I asked. This is cool. This is going to give us a chance to get you a little bit of publicity here. I'm all about helping to publicize some of our brothers' actions, and when they get into business and they're trying to do something different, unique, and especially that sounds exactly what you're doing. So, tell me a little bit again about what you're doing there with this business.
Well, we finding a good cigar, at least in my area of Ontario, is hard. And I'm a very avid cigar smoker.
Awesome.
So also I've been into tattoos and piercings for a lot of years, and obviously beard care.
Beard care.
So I figure let's try combining it all and seeing how it goes. It's been going pretty decently. COVID kind of put a damper in it. I had to shut down for a couple months, but I've recently been allowed to reopen full time.
Awesome.
It's slowly picking back up again, but there's still it's hurdles. But that's just business.
Now, it's an all-in-one shop now. Are you a tattoo artist yourself, or do you employ other tattoo artists? Do they rent space from you? How does that work?
I employ other tattoo artists.
Okay.
I'm still learning the tattoo.
Okay.
It's not going very well so far.
Hey, at least you recognize that, and you're not, approaching people like, yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm working on it. And then you end up with some squiggly thing that looks terrible. So
I still have a lot of brothers that definitely want a J original though. So
you know what? Hey, those abstract kind of things can work too. Just put it in a place that's not going to be right next to my awesome tat that I have.
For sure.
And yeah, I've known some people that got some really bad ones, and that's it can be one of those marks of honor, that you have, that you're just like, yeah, buddy of mine did this and it's terrible, but I love it. So
that's it.
That's great. So cigars, and then tattoos, and what am I missing? So what did I miss? The beard care. Yeah. All right. So let's get into the beard care part of it now. Do you have your own product line, or are you using anybody's? You allowing people to sell stuff there that are other makers? What do you got?
I actually have 2 brother-owned companies.
Okay.
I carry Topher's, which is an OSW brother.
Okay.
His line's very popular. I'm also Canada's only supplier of Popal beard oils.
Ooh. All right.
And I also deal with one other supplier, Canadian Redneck, who's based out of Quebec and is also a member of another beard club.
Okay.
Just not beard.
Okay. All right. Great. So we get some good quality stuff up in Toronto at your shop.
Oh, we do.
Awesome, man. That's a really cool idea. That's great. It'd be interesting to talk to you further off the air, because I would love to hear some ideas that you've got for the future, because with a business like that, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff. And I don't mean crazy bad, but crazy cool to maybe educate people on different things, especially I think on cigars. I think there's a lot of people out there that, occasionally enjoy one, but they just don't understand how to find one that's good.
Well, part of my day, the most enjoyable part is the fact I get to talk cigars all day. So
not bad. So do you have a fancy walk-in humidor and everything at your place?
No. Canadian laws are a little different from the States.
Oh, uh-oh.
Because I offer tattoos and beard care, and I'm not strictly tobacco and tobacco-related products, I have cabinet humidors, but the glass has to be blacked out.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Is there a specific reason why, or just because they don't want you to see them?
It's basically because my shop isn't a 19-plus establishment. Okay. And they're really trying to not let kids see tobacco and tobacco products.
Okay.
I can't say I agree with the laws, but I still have to follow them, unfortunately.
Okay. So by 19 plus establishment means that kids under 19 are allowed in there, but because that's the possibility, you have to have things blacked out so they don't see it.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. And that's an interesting law. But now, being a tattoo shop, you have to, if anybody, kids can accompany other people, but I guess obviously are there tattoo laws for minors or under 18 or different things there?
18 is the legal age for tattoo.
Okay.
You can be 16, but have parental consent. They have to be there with you.
Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah. That seems to be pretty universal, but all right, man. All right. So very cool venture you've got there. That's awesome. And one of the things I'm going to do off air is I'm going to get your info, because I will make sure that I put links at the bottom of the podcast video for anybody that is interested, especially if you're up in the Toronto area, for sure, to check these guys out. They're at a very unique shop, an all-in-one beard care with stogies. Oh man, that's awesome.
We also have big plans for the future too.
I look forward to it. That's what I want to find out off the air. Yeah, I want to hear all about that for sure. All right, man. Jay, thanks so much for taking some time out with me, and good luck this weekend with the donation for sure. And especially good luck with getting things together, wrapped up, whatever you can do over the course of the next several months for Beards for Bucko 2.5, or whatever you make it money-wise. But as soon as you're able to nail down a date, let me know, and I'll make sure I get it out on the podcast for Beards for Bucko 2.5. Or, you know what, I'm just going to call it Beards for Bucko 2021 at this point. Good. At this point, we're just going to do that. And then, because, dang, I really want to come up there for that one for sure. So, but yeah, keep things going. I'll be looking out for the Pride Patch when that thing comes out for sure. Again, anybody listening, only 100 of them out there, limited to 2. So careful. Fingers crossed, and step on your toe, throw salt over your shoulder, whatever you got to do to be superstitious to get one. So, Jay, man, I appreciate you, man. Keep up the good stuff, buddy. All right, bud. Take care.
You as well.
All right. All right, guys. Jay from Toronto, the Bearded Villains of Toronto. Those guys are doing great things up there, keeping things going during the COVID pandemic issue, even though things are starting to slow up. And in regards to the pandemic guidelines and everybody's stay-at-home orders, those guys have been doing some really great things up there. And yeah, so again, that organization, if you're up there, familiar with it, the White Birch Foundation, doing some special needs care for adults, which is, I think, something that is an often forgotten about part of our lives. So yeah, that's great. White Birch Foundation, special needs for adults. Very cool. And how neat is it that they're doing that patch? And I can only imagine how quickly that patch is going to sell out, because, well, we know how fast patches go. But just remember, play back this video, and I'm not going to remind you again, because I don't want you to beat me out for a patch. But play back this podcast, and you can listen back to his timing, where he said that it's most likely going to be released, what time of day, and all that stuff. So very cool. And then also his venture, if you're up in Toronto, hit up Beards and Stogies, man. That's a really cool adventure. It's going to be an adventure for him, but a very cool business venture with the beard care, the cigar, the tattoos, and the fact that that he's selling some beard care that's done by some of our bearded villain brothers. Very, very cool stuff. And speaking of our bearded villain brothers with beard care products, here's one now regarding Pulpo. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and your coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo Beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer care and customer service. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to pulpobeardoils.com. That's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. Very cool stuff, guys. So we're going to bump right into our calendar events. And although we had one of our big events of the year that just closed out in regards to Knoxvillains, we got some other ones coming up, guys, that we don't want to miss for sure. And so I'm here to tell you about those. We got 4, I think it's 4, 4 on the docket right now. I'm sure more will pop up in due time for sure. So right now we've got September 11th through the 13th. The Four Corners meet is going to be in Cortez, Colorado. September 11th through the 13th, Four Corners meet in Cortez, Colorado. Now, those not familiar with the Four Corners meet, this is going to be an event that is just for brothers. It's just a time, no families, no kids, none of that stuff. It's just brothers having a chance to hang out with other brothers. What an amazing time that's going to be for everybody that's able to attend that. Cortez, Colorado, Four Corners meet September 11th through the 13th. Then September 25th to the 27th, the Bearded Villains of Missouri Valley are going to have their 2nd anniversary. This is going to be a beard competition weekend with a meet and greet, all sorts of stuff. They're going to have a beard comp, vendors, door prizes. The meet and greet is going to be at the Last Hotel's rooftop, 1501 Washington Avenue in St. Louis. Then the beard comp is going to be at Four Hands Brewing Company from 1 to 5 p.m. It's at 1220 South 8th Street in St. Louis. And there's also going to be a farewell brunch to be decided on location and time on the next day. So again, that's the Bearded Villains Missouri Valley 2nd anniversary event, September 25th to the 27th. Then we have Battle of the Beards. If you're anywhere near the Midwest and Southern Indiana, jump right back over from the Missouri Valley event a few weeks later. Well, it's actually 1 week later to the Battle of the Beards. This will be in Newburgh, Indiana, and it's hosted by the Bearded Villains of Southern Indiana. Again, this is October 3rd. It's benefiting the Gresham House, and it's going to be at the American Legion Post number 44 at 711 State Street in Newburgh, Indiana. It's always a really good time. The Battle of the Beards. This will be Battle of the Beards 3, and it's going to be October 3rd in Newburgh, Indiana. And finally on the list right now, October 16th and the 17th, the 4th Florida Summit. And that's going to be Pensacola Beach, Florida. Don't have any details right now on that. Those are to come. They're still working on finalizing some things with the COVID shutdowns and whatnot. But mark your calendars if you're anywhere near there or you just want to go down and have some fun in Pensacola Beach with some brothers. October 16th and 17th, the 4th Florida Summit, Pensacola Beach, Florida. Okay, guys. Awesome stuff. Hey, before I forget, remember, you can get out there and get shirts, patches, and pins on the podcast site, which is theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. We've had a bunch of people recently on the Instagram out there showing pictures of their merch that they've received from the podcast, and I could not say thank you enough to everybody who has purchased stuff from the podcast and that you're showing that stuff off. So really, 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 really appreciate that. Well, guys, you know what that music means. It means that'll wrap up episode 36 of The Heart of a Villain. Remember, like I said, you can still buy shirts, patches, pins at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. And don't forget, the heart of a villain never stops beating. Finally, guys, remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So for now, have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the week ahead. Take care and stay safe.
Loyalty, honor, respect, expect nothing less from this MC. One brotherhood, one ship, we grind hard for each other, down for the cause. That's why I call you my brother. And when it's time to give back, we help another try to leave a change in the world to be discovered. From my chapter to yours, we're all